Page 108 in your textbooks. You did the homework, numbers 1 through 18, bottom of page 108 to top of page 109. And we were working on the number line in our last lesson. We were adding together positive and negative numbers. In class, we said that if you add something, which direction, left or right, do we move on the number line to add, class?
Right.
We move to the right. That's if we add a positive. But we said a negative always goes the opposite direction. So you would normally add this way, which means when you add a positive, you go this way. But if you add a negative, class, you're going to go this way, right? You're going to go to the left if you add a negative value. We said that subtraction would normally go this way, and that's if you're subtracting a positive, you subtract a negative. But then we said, you know what? We're just not going to subtract. That's just not what we do. What are we going to do rather than doing any form of subtraction? If we see a problem and it tells us to subtract, Jalen, add the inverse. Class, say that with me. Subtraction is adding the inverse. Again, subtraction is adding the inverse. So if we see a minus sign, we change it to a plus sign. And whatever symbol, positive or negative, comes after it, we change it to the other one. So if it said minus negative, class, we're going to make it say plus positive. If it says minus positive, we're going to make it say plus a negative, right? We just change the signs, we add the inverse. So we worked on that on numbers 1 through 12. And then on numbers 13 through 15, or maybe it went to, 13 through 15, they had you working with some of those properties we talked about in the earlier lesson. And we had 3 properties of mathematics. The first property, Joel, involved us changing the order of addends or factors. 3 times 5, 5 times 3, 3 plus 5, 5 plus 3. If you change the order of factors or addends, that's which property? Kirsten? Commutative. Class, say that with me. Commutative. All right? That's if you're changing the order. We could also group different things together. We could group, for instance, if we have a 2 plus a 4 plus a 7, we could group the 2 plus 4 and then plus the 7. Or we could group the 2 and then the 4 plus 7 gets grouped. So we add the 4 plus 7 and then 2 plus that. When you change what is being grouped together in a series of addition or a series of multiplication, when you change the grouping, that's called, Joel, Associative property. Class, say that with me. Associative property. That's where we change what is grouped together. And then there was another weird one where if you had some addition or subtraction going on in parentheses, and there was one number outside being multiplied, you could multiply that number by every single one of the different numbers that was inside the parentheses. And we're in 7th grade, we usually have 2 numbers in there anyway. But if there were more, for instance, if we had like a 3 plus 7 plus 2 minus 5 or something, rather than figure out what all that is and then multiply by 3, for instance, we could multiply 3 times 3, and then the 3 times the 7, and then the 3 times the 2, and then the 3 times the 5. We could multiply it all individually. Which property was that? Bryson? The distributive property. Class, say that with me? Distributive property. It's kind of like as if we're distributing the 3 to everybody in the group, to everybody in the class, so to speak. So that was what else we've been working on. Those 3 properties allowed us to break the rules on occasion, when it suited our purpose, of order of operations, remember? Instead of strictly following parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract, we could rearrange things to make them fit what we want to do a little bit better. And of course, we've been kind of bending those rules a little bit with our area formulas, volume formulas anyway. Let's take a look now at page 108, numbers, to 109, 1 through 18. Oh, that's right. You were skipping school that day. Yeah, we'll talk about that one later. Camping trip. Did you have fun? Did you have fun? Oh, good. Glad you had fun. All right. Let's take a look at these together. Number 1, you're supposed to add a negative 2 plus another negative 2. And they told you to use the number line. And so we would start on our number line at negative 2. And it said to add negative 2. So which direction do we go, class?
Left.
To the left, because we're adding a negative. So we go boink, boink. And if we go 2 more places, where do we end up, class? Negative 4. How many had that for your answer on number 1? Number 2, to be fair, you could have avoided the number line. Because you know if you were at 6 and you added 1, class, you would end up at 7. Like, this is not recording. Are you kidding me? It says it's still recording, but this says it's not. Well, I don't know if you could see anything just now, people. I'm not sure what was going on, but we're going to keep on rolling. Anyway, here we go. Hang in there, internet. Don't break up on me. All right. Anyway, so 6 plus 1, of course, 7. If you were to add, now this next one, we could also cheat and not use the number line because we had a name for this pair of numbers. Number 3, 11 plus negative 11. Right at the end of the hour, I gave you this term. Does anyone remember what we call numbers that when you add them, they cancel with each other? Hold foot still. Do you remember?
Additive numbers?
Additive.
Inverse?
Inverses. Right, we say when we subtract, we add the inverse. Okay, it's frozen now. I'm going to end this and start over. Well, not the whole lesson, but I'm going to start. Gotta love technology. Except when you don't. Well, Mr. Russell, they're